The Greeks brought food to Hecate at night, not in temples, not in the safety of torchlit sanctuaries. They left it where 3 roads split apart, at crossroads where the wind moved through empty stone paths, and where, after the offering was placed, you were not supposed to look back. By morning, everything was gone, and no one asked too many questions. That was where Hecate waited, not in the center of the city, but at the edge of the roads, near the dogs, near the dead, near the things people spoke about more quietly after sunset. Hecate belongs to Greek mythology, and yet she never feels entirely Greek. Not like Athena, not like Aphrodite, not like Hera. She does not stand brightly in the center of the Olympian order, visible and admired beneath marble temples and open skies. And still, in the earliest texts, her power reaches unusually far. Sky, earth, sea. For a goddess of dark crossroads, that is too much power. She feels less like a goddess created within the Greek world, and more like something older that had been forced into its structure. Her origins remain unclear. Some traces lead toward Anatolia, others toward older generations of gods, beings from a time before the Olympians ruled the world. And that is the first fracture in her story. Hecate does not feel like a new goddess. She feels like an ancient presence that was inserted afterward into a system that already feared her. The most important story about her does not begin where people pray. It begins where someone disappears. Persephone is taken. The earth opens. Hades pulls her into the underworld. Hecate is not there to see it happen, but she hears it. She hears Persephone screaming in the night, and that detail matters more than it first seems. Hecate does not see first, she hears. She belongs to a different kind of perception, to sounds in darkness, to movement at the edge of vision, to things no one else can fully see yet. She hears what comes from below, and if you follow those traces long enough, you start to notice something strange about ancient myths. They rarely begin where the temples stand. They begin at the edges. Later, Hecate joins Demeter in the search for Persephone. Carrying torches, they move through darkness, across empty fields and abandoned roads, through a world that suddenly feels incomplete. And when Persephone is forced to return to the underworld, Hecate remains beside her, not as queen of the dead, but as a companion. That makes her more unsettling. Hecate is not death itself. She is the moment before it, the threshold, the transition, the point at which a person still believes they can turn back, even though the path has already begun beneath their feet. That is why she belongs to doors, entrances, roads, and above all, crossroads, especially places where 3 roads meet. For the ancient world, a crossroads was never neutral. It was a flaw in the order of things, a place where no one was completely certain which world they were closest to. And that is exactly where her statue stood, not as decoration, but almost like warnings. Hecate looked in several directions at once, toward the road ahead of you, the road behind you, and the road you were never supposed to take. Later, she often appears in triple form, facing multiple directions at once. At a crossroads, a goddess does not need symbolism. She needs sight, in every direction. Why 3 directions? Because at a 3-way crossing, you never look only forward. You see the path you are taking, the path you abandoned, and the path something could emerge from. Because anyone standing at a crossroads at night does not only need to know where they are going, they also need to know what may be following them. And here Hecate changes. She is no longer only a deity. She becomes a rule. At night, you do not casually pass by her places. You do not remain there longer than necessary. You do not touch what has been left for her. And above all, you do not look back. These nightly meals even had a name. Offerings to Hecate. Bread, eggs, fish, small things left behind after dark. Not only for her, also for the restless dead believed to follow her through the night. Do not imagine this as mythology. Imagine it as a real street, a narrow alleyway, cold wind moving between stone walls, food resting carefully on the ground while no one stands nearby. Somewhere in the darkness, a dog barks, and everyone passing that place understands that they should not stare at it for too long. By morning, everything is gone. Of course, someone could have taken it. A poor person, an animal, a traveler. But that only explains why it disappeared, not why people placed it there in the first place. Hecate was not only worshipped, she was accounted for. Like darkness, like cold, like something that already exists once night arrives. And then there are the dogs. Almost everywhere they follow her, not as pets, not as friendly companions, but as warnings. Dogs hear before humans hear. They react to things a person has not yet noticed. In older beliefs, their barking announced Hecate's presence. Not loud, not dramatic. Just that sudden sound in the middle of the night when an animal freezes, stares into darkness, and refuses to move any farther. That is what makes Hecate so powerful. She does not need to appear directly. She changes the environment around her. A dog begins barking. A torch flickers. A familiar road suddenly feels wrong. A crossroads no longer feels empty. That is not a monster. It is worse. It is a place behaving differently than it should. The disturbing thing about Hecate is not violence. It is proximity. She stands where people are forced to pass, at doors, roads, thresholds, and at the points where a decision can no longer be avoided. And every decision has a direction. Forward, back, downward. That is why Hecate does not belong only to the underworld. She belongs to the moment before someone enters it. The final step, the final glance, the final sound behind you. And maybe that is why she still works today. Not because of modern ideas about magic, not because of witches or candles, but because everyone knows this feeling. A road that feels ordinary during the day changes completely at night. A path you know suddenly feels wrong. A sound appears somewhere behind you, and for a brief second, there is an instinct to turn around. Hecate may never have been only a goddess. She may have been the shape people gave to a very specific fear. The fear of transitions, of wrong turns, of places that no longer fully belong to the world of the living after dark. The Greeks did not place her where everything felt safe. They placed her where safety ended, at crossroads, near doorways, at the edges, at places where no one stayed longer than necessary, places where the dogs heard something first. And if you ever find yourself standing somewhere like that at night, when the wind suddenly goes still, when a sound appears behind you, when a dog suddenly barks even though the road remains empty, then the ancient rule is very simple. Do not look back. And if you want to keep following places like these, stay on this path. The next traces are already waiting in the dark.